Well, it's Saturday night, and you know what that means. Live from Studio 11, TV Centre, Auckland Park, here in Johannesburg. Time for Sports Live. We've got so much ground to cover, so let's get started. It was another eventful week in the PSL in the coaching musical chairs stakes, with two coaches getting the sack. This apparent instability in the coaching sector must have ramifications on football as a whole in the country. For more, I'm joined by our senior football reporter, Lebohang Dube. Lebo, tell us, Caetano Temba, he got the sack. Lebo's going to join us now. Just waiting for him, just waiting for the link up. There we go. I think we have him. Lebo, tell us now, Caetano getting the sack. We also had Lehola Nolo. We got a couple of stalwarts having to walk. All that intellectual property, all that know-how, all that football nous walking out the door. Supersport United, in their case, is particularly sad. What happens? What happens to a club when this happens?
Look, Simon, I think, as we know that in South Africa, but I guess across the world as well, the pressure is a lot from fans, from the clubs as well, expecting to get those results. And particularly the clubs, the club owners, the administrators, looking to get the results. And if the results are not coming, then in most cases, then the coaches get sacked. When you look at the case with SuperSport United, Caetano Temba has really done well with the team since taking over, I think in 2018. I think they've lifted trophies under his guidance. And unfortunately, results not coming through this time around. It might have been dynamics within the club, within the team as well, with the results not coming through. But I think as well, in most cases, we normally say that clubs are not patient with coaches. And with Caetano spending, 23 years with the club and 4 years as head coach, he was given that chance. And unfortunately, this time around, as I said as well, I don't think it's really about the results with SuperSport United, but I think it's what was been happening behind the scenes that perhaps led to the sacking of Caetano Temba. When you look at Lehlon Losiema with the Golden Arrows, he started really well with the team, but unfortunately as well, results not coming through. That 6-0 drubbing from Mamelodi Sundowns led to his sacking, and I think it was all about results. And as I say, the main reason in most cases is the results rather than a fallout with the coach and the club.
We can see a pattern developing, because every season there's this list of casualties, and they go and they join a coaching pool. They get picked up by other teams, and Amazulu will sack them. Maritzburg United pick them up. Chippa United, they like to sack a lot. Cape Town City picks up here and there they go. It seems like there's a fixed pool of coaches that go from club to club. How does this help the game in South Africa? Are there new ideas coming into the sport? And can coaches be given enough time to do their work and move the players forward?
Look, Simon, I think it would be ideal to give a coach a couple of seasons to work with the club and see the results coming. A perfect example is Mamelodi Sundowns. They've been consistent within their coaching department and doing well over the last couple of years with the league. And you can see that consistency. Unfortunately, it's not the same case with other clubs. And as I indicated that, they're looking for immediate results. I think when a new coach comes, as you mentioned, that, a coach gets sacked and then they form part of a pool of coaches that are unemployed, and another club will then recycle them and bring them in. And I think at that point in time, it's more being desperate to get the results. Obviously, a new coach coming in, there'll be that, positivity, players' morale perhaps boosted as well, players, looking for new ideas, playing for the coach as well. And then at that time, in most cases, you find that results do come through. If you look at the case with Amazulu, Benny McCarthy doing well when he took over the club last season, did well, finished second. Come this season, not getting the results. Brendan Truter, second match this afternoon, he gets a win. His second win in 2 matches in the league, and perhaps he'll probably lift the team up to maybe, let's say, 4th or 5th, and that is what Amazulu would be looking for. But it's more about with the coaches being recycled. I think the teams hope that they will bring some change in the team. But in the long run, if the coach is not giving time, they get sacked as well, and the cycle repeats itself again.
Absolutely, but you only have to look at the log leaders, Mamelodi Sundowns. They don't do what the other clubs do, and they have got league titles and continental titles and cups, and their cup runneth over, but they're not following that pattern. So now, what my question is, as the coach of the national team, Hugo Bruce, when he looks at the league, the domestic league, and he sees this huge divide between the haves and everybody else, what does he make of it? Does he know that he can get reliable players coming into the squad? Can he rely on the coaches that are coaching in the PSL?
Look, I think at the end of the day, it's all about the performance of the players. I mean, the players raise their hands to be part of the national team, but I guess there is, influence in how the teams are run in terms of their coaching departments. I mean, if you are not consistent, you have different coaches every season. I mean, obviously, it's going to affect how the team performs. Yes, one season you might do well, the other season you might not. It affects the players as well in terms of their performance. You find that a player has signed a 3 to 5 year contract, and you find that they'll be playing under 5 or 4 different coaches, during their contract stay. And then that obviously affects, and that will also affect the national team selection as well, because you find that the player is not playing under this coach, he plays under a particular coach. It's all about the preference of the coach, and it doesn't make it really easier for a coach, for a national team coach, because it would be ideal for them to, at times, from time to time, have conversations with coaches, and it would be ideal to have coaches that have been consistent, or have a longer stay at a club. I mean, if you look at Mamelodi Sundowns with Peter Musimani, he got to the club in 2012, and did well. And when you look at the technical team, his assistant coaches, they joined him soon after joining the club, and those two assistant coaches are now at the helm, and you can see the consistency and continuity within Mamelodi Sundowns. And when you look at Hugo Bruce selecting his Bafana setup, I think the first team that you'd look at, or the first, the players that you'd look at, is the players from Mamelodi Sundowns, players that play consistency under the same coaches.
Thank you so much for your points. I fear we've only scratched the surface in what is a trend, a worrying trend in South African football. Lebogang Dube, senior football reporter here at SABC News. Thank you very much for being with us. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back. Right, welcome back to Sports Live. Now, what a summer it has been for cricket in South Africa. A period of revitalization in both the men's and women's games. The Proteas won 2 test series, drew 1, and did it at times without their stars, while the women Proteas went from strength to strength at the ICC Women's World Cup in New Zealand, eventually getting stopped at the semi-final stage. For more, I'm joined by cricket analyst Hussein Manak. Hussein, welcome to Sports Live. It's exactly what cricket in this country needed. Tell us, what was the catalyst for this turnaround in fortunes, specifically in the men's Proteas team?
So, how are you doing, Simon? Thank you for having me. Are we talking about, are you referring to the turnaround with regards to the test results now? Or what are you specifically?
Yes, the test results, the results that matter. We've seen a very upbeat and positive Proteas team. Could you let us in on what has happened in the team for this to happen?
Yeah, I think, Simon, importantly, first, it's important to put things into perspective. Firstly, I think the context is very important because, yes, South Africa, I thought, had done particularly well, especially against India, to come back after having lost the first test and then winning the series. So that was a really good result. Bangladesh, I don't think, as much as it was a fantastic result, and I think there were some amazing individual performances, I think if you put it into perspective, Bangladesh are not one of the strongest test playing countries. So I think as much as, yes, we always should celebrate the Proteas victory, especially when it's at test level, and South Africa are sitting quite pretty at test level. I think South Africa's challenges have really been on the subcontinent over a period of time. So I think it is important, while it's important to celebrate, to also put these type of test results in perspective. I mean, if you go back over the years, if you look at, for example, India or any subcontinent team coming to South Africa in the past, it wasn't even really a discussion. You know you were going to beat any one of those teams coming to South Africa in South Africa. So I think the fact that South Africa won is admirable. I think there were some good results. I think they're building a good core. Players are beginning to find their roles, and you can see they're beginning to develop a nice unit. So there have been improvements. I would be cautious, though, and I think it's important to temper the celebrations, because when you put it in perspective, it's Bangladesh, one of the weakest test playing nations. So I don't think we must over-celebrate, and I don't think we must pretend that South Africa have now turned the corner and playing fantastic cricket all around. I think it's important to put those things into perspective.
Absolutely. I mean, they're going off to India, they're going to England, June, July. On the backdrop of the director of cricket coaching role changing, on the under-fire coach that they have within their ranks, and also a star player who gave up test cricket and was at odds at times with the team orders, there was a lot going on behind the scenes that said that, you know, cricket in South Africa was just at its lowest ebb. So the performances on the field kind of lifted people a bit. But you're right, they've got to go now to India and to England, and that's really where we're going to see June, July is going to be a very testing period for them, shall we say.
Yeah, England, India, I think there's mostly limited overs white ball cricket there. I think there may be 5 T20s, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe a couple of ODIs thrown in there. It's a T20 year. Remember, there's a T20 World Cup coming up. Then the tour to England is going to be an interesting one, because that previous tour to England was quite a testing one. They use a different ball. It's a tube ball. The conditions there, if we get a bit of rain and it's English conditions, typical English conditions, those are not easy conditions to play against, particularly if England play well. England themselves have their own struggles, so that may be interesting, as India did when they came here. So India had some struggles of their own within the team environment. So, when you take all those things and put them into context, I think there have been a lot of positives. I think the challenges you allude to, particularly around the coach, I think those, hopefully South African cricket can get beyond that sooner rather than later. And I know that case, the Mark Boucher case, is coming up pretty soon. And, it's important that from a South African cricket perspective, that South African cricket move beyond that, because to have a coach who's involved in a disciplinary hearing, and then there's talk about court cases, they talk about players within the team environment, including the captain and so forth, being called in as witnesses. I mean, there's no way that can be healthy for any team environment. So South Africa really need to move past this. When you look at, for example, just Mark Boucher being the coach in the team, for me raised some serious question marks. I'm not even talking about his appointment, because his appointment, of course, there was enough said during the SJN and the recommendations, and everything's come out. So I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about post that.
I hear you, Hussein. So much to talk about in this Proteas cricket team. Thank you for being with us. We're right out of time. Apologies for that, but thank you for your insights. Hussein Manak, he joined us live on Sports Live. Talk all about the Proteas. We're going to have to take a quick break. Okay, well, we are hopping over to the basketball court. The Cape Town Tigers basketball team is competing at the Basketball Africa League. It's a co-sanctioned tournament with the NBA and FIBA, and the Tigers are currently in Cairo, Egypt, competing in the Nile Conference. The Tigers are in good shape, coming off the back of 2 victories, which gets them nearer to the playoffs. Their final match is on Tuesday. And for more, I'm joined by Ben Myberg, who plays point guard for the Tigers from Cairo. Ben, welcome to the program. Tell us about the Tigers' experience at the Basketball Africa League so far.
Thank you for having me. It's a great honor. The experience so far has been amazing. Just the BAL's taking care of us, getting us in a 5-star hotel with pretty much everything that we need, transport to the arena for practices and for games. It's been a great experience, especially for think a lot of the South African players as well to be on a stage like this.
You guys are getting a basketball education like no other. Did you ever think in your career you would be exposed to such a high level tournament and playing two of the superpowers on the continent, Zamalek, Petro de Luanda? You couldn't have asked for more in your basketball career.
No, like I said, there's a great stage for all of us, and I don't think I'd never thought I would have been at this place, and I'm just taking it all in one day at a time, one experience at a time. And no, it's been amazing.
But you're coming off the back of 2 wins, and those 2 wins have put you into playoff contention in a very real way. And you've got 1 match left. Tell us about the regeneration after playing those 2 massive clubs. Very daunting proposal to come right into a tournament, play 2 clubs like that, and then recover. So now you have 2 losses, but you've got 2 wins, 1 left to play. How's the team feeling about that?
You know, we knew we were going to come out and play those 2 big clubs, and the big focus for us was just to stay together, stay as a group, and just, go out and get those wins that we needed. And we did a really good job with that. And I'm proud of where we are at this point, and we're just going to go out and get another win on Tuesday.
You're playing like this tournament isn't going to end for you, and in May, obviously, the prospects of the playoffs are staring you right in the face. Have you ever played in the Cape Town Tigers where they've played at such a level? Is this like you seeing the evolution of players before your very eyes?
Yeah, I mean, for a club as young as this, it is extraordinary to see the growth within the organization and within the players as well. Just to see how we gel and communicate with one another. It's quite amazing. I've never been a part of a club that has been able to do something like this. So it's pretty historic.
You're in good hands. Your club manager, Raphael Edwards, he really believes in this Cape Town Tigers project. Does he communicate often with you guys about what's at stake, about how you're building something in the Southern African region to become one of the premier clubs? Because basketball's huge on the continent, but maybe we don't get that impression here in South Africa.
Yeah, basketball is still on the rise in South Africa, but I think with us being here on this stage, we are able to represent for South Africa and give them a sort of something to look at and to aspire towards. That every South African kid that's into basketball, if they work hard, they can get to this level as well.
Ben Myburgh, point guard for the Cape Town Tigers, blazing a trail at the Basketball Africa League. Best of luck. 1 match left in the Nile Conference. Playoffs, they're echoing, they're calling out for you guys. We wish you the best of luck. We'll be following your progress. Exciting times off the back of 2 wins. That's where we're going to have to leave it for tonight here on Sports Live. Thanks for joining us. From myself and all the team, good night and take care.